guys, welcome back. Well, we're baling again, but we're making little bales this time. So it's first cutting on this new alfalfa field. There's a few weeds in it, so the customer opted to make some small bales because he might feed them to his own cows. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We don't make a whole lot of little bales, really hardly ever, but we can do it. I prefer the big bales, but sometimes you need the little bales. So yeah, this is the Heston 4693 string engine drive. It's kind of funny. We're short on tractors, so we pulled one of the orchard tractors or mowers tractors off. So we have a little tractor for the little baler. So, all right, let's make some hay. Check it out. It's always hard for me to get used to looking at little bales. We do big bales all the time. 15%. 10. And there's a 20. Might be the weeds in it. Go down a little bit deeper. Yeah, 11. We're okay. All right. I'm gonna check the weight real quick. No scales on this, so you got to use your muscle. Alright, well, I got off that thing. One of the guys came over and took over. Just, I don't know, it always amazes me how the fields look with little bales in them, because we're just so used to doing big bales. It's just a lot of little blocks out there. Pretty cool. I don't know, I prefer big bales all the time. Just, you know, it's a faster process, baling process, but little baler, you know, when you need it, you need it. You know, I've done jobs where we've baled some little bales that the customer needed because maybe they sold it to a feed store, you know, things like that. Feed stores, they, you know, buy the bale, and they need small bales because not everyone's going to be able to fit a big bale in the back of their Subaru or their Volvo, if you know what I mean. They need little bales. But for us, you know, most of the hay we bale goes to dairies, and the dairies, they would much rather handle big bales. It's just more efficient, you know, a little probably less labor intensive for them. You know, you move one big bale, it's like moving the equivalent of, you know, just say, depending on weights, you know, 10 to 15 little bales. So that's a lot easier, a lot quicker, less twine. So, but, you know, it's just like a toolbox. You know, you got tools in there that you use every day, and you got tools in there that you may use once a year, every 2 years, every 5 years, or just, you never know. You just got to have it. So the little baler to me is like a tool in the toolbox. You know, like, yes, we would rather do big bales, but if small bales are needed, you know, we can pull the little baler out or pull the tool out and get the job done. So anyway, all right. Well, I'm going to follow him a little bit, film a little bit more, and then I'm going to go check the stacks from the first cutting and the first couple fields we did, just to kind of check them out and, you know, just check up on the moisture and kind of keep everybody honest on, you know, their baling job and what they're doing. You know, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. So, all right, let's go do that. All right, yeah, this thing's a Heston inline baler. It's an engine drive. The newer ones are, I don't even think you can get an engine drive Heston anymore. I know you can get an engine drive Freeman, but the new ones are PTO driven. So, yeah, little 4-cylinder air-cooled Deutz gets the job done. So, I'm just following behind him. Let's count the strokes and see what he's got. So once it trips, you start counting based off the motor lugging. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Perfect. That's pretty good. So I don't know. We usually shoot for like 13 to 17. I mean, sometimes it depends on the size of the crop, but you know, you can see the lines in there, which is the flakes, the charges. So that looks pretty good. Yeah, this little old baler does a good job. When I learned how to bale hay, we had Freeman little balers, Freeman 3 ties, and yeah, a lot of memories of driving the baler and, you know, feeling the plunger hit and listening to the motor, because the motor was like at the front of the baler, pretty close to the hitch. So you would sit there and count 1, 2, 3. You know, you'd hear that burn, 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 and then you'd wait for the bale to drop, or you could hear and see the needles go up. So then you knew how many charges you had. So then you would adjust your speed. So like if you had, you know, I always remember 13. Maybe my dad's watching, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I always remember it was like 13 to 15 is what we wanted. And if you had more than that, you know, then maybe you would speed up. Spam call. If you had more than that, you could speed up a little bit. If you had too many, you'd slow down, and then you would adjust your pressure. And you know, the new big balers, a couple of ours have scales on them. Well, there's no scales on these. It's all, you know, based off of feel. You guys saw me do that earlier. So, and I have a lot of memories of my dad. He'd be on one baler, I'd be on one, and then my brother would be on the other. And then we would he'd look for my dad. He'd get off and jump off and feel it, and he would give us the old, you know, down or up. And it's actually backwards. It always confused me. He when he wanted it heavier, he would go like this. When he wanted it lighter, he would go like this, up, thumbs up. So to me, that's backwards. But it goes back to the old 4-man baler days when, you know, you had the guy pulling the baler, you had the guy poking the wire, you had the guy tying the wire, and then maybe it was 4 or 3. I can't remember, but it took 3 or 4 guys to run this baler. And then you had someone who would screw a bolt or adjustment up or down to put more tension or less tension on the chamber to change bale weight. Well, you would screw it down to make them heavier, put more pressure on it. So that's where the thumbs down came from. And obviously, take pressure off, you'd screw the bolt up. So that's where the thumbs up came from. So to me, it's kind of backwards. Like, this should be make them heavier, this should be make them lighter. But we figured it out. We learned. So yeah, a lot of time spent baling hay with my dad and my brother as a kid, and a lot of good memories of sitting on these bales and talking. A lot of good conversations, you know, waiting for the hay to dry out or the dew to come in, you know, just, or even laying in the windrow. We'd lay in the windrow, and we knew when it started to feel comfortable, that meant it was getting soft and it was almost ready. So yeah, it's working good. Looks kind of funny though, this little orchard tractor pulling the baler, but it's what we got right now, so it works, right? Alright, so here's stacks from last week. Some of the first cutting we did. So, like I said, yeah, I'm going to go around and probe them, just kind of check them out. We didn't really have anything that stood out to us as far as moisture, but I don't know. I like to go back and check just to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do, right? We did have a couple bales that in the headlands that were had some spots in them, but you know, the thing is, that's going to happen. You know, you make a lot of bales, have a big stack, you're going to have a spot that's wet that you're not going to find. But you know, we try to do our best to keep an eye out for those and probe as much as we can. We do have moisture meters on the balers, but there's always something that's going to slip through. You know, like there's a bale. Let me flip this around. There's a bale laying right here in front of this stack that we found a spot in it, which is no big deal as long as if you find it, we mark it. You know, they'll have a red mark on it like that. Sorry, the camera was up, but red mark or a red stripe through it, so that way when they come, the truckers come get it, and then the dairy gets it, they know that, oh, there's something wrong with that. Don't put it in the barn, because we all know wet hay can cause fires. So yeah, I'm just gonna probe around a little bit, and I'll let you guys know what I find, because my meter will kind of read the highs and lows and then average it all together and give me a good idea of what's what. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. Okay, there's 3 different stacks from 3 different fields. I just walked around all of them and probed them, checked them. Moisture is good. I do have the high and the average. I'll share that with you in a minute. But this stack, I noticed the hay buyer's already been here. Let's see if I could find it. There's usually nope, you can see oh, here we go. Here's the holes from the sample they came out and took. So the buyer will come out here, look at the stack, and go around them and take samples, and they send them off to a lab, and it'll give them I think they test for TDN around here, mostly total digestive nutrients, and then I know there is like a RFV test, relative feed value, and then they test for protein and all that, and then based off of the test, they will give the farmer their price based off the test and then what the market's doing. And then also too, I found a bale. We talked about running knives. I could see the knife mark in the bales, but I'll find it in a minute. I was going to show you guys too. There's always what I call an ugly side and a pretty side of a bale. Like you can see here, there's a lot of, you know, good leaf retention and everything. It looks nice. And then you come over to this bale and, you know, it looks kind of stemmy, not a whole lot of leaf on it. Well, what that is this is the, what would you call it? The back of the bale. So this was the back that came out of the baler. So the back of the bale always gets beat on because it's getting pushed by the next bale coming out. So that side of the bale always looks a little uglier than what the pretty side does. This is the pretty side. So there's some more leaf retention and stuff, but it's all pretty good. And here's what the numbers are. I'm going to show you on the screen. I don't know if you'll be able to see them. If not, I'll just read them out. So my meter will show me high, low, and average. Hold on. I can't see very good either. I don't know what's going on here. I need to recenter my camera. And something. Oh, well, it's turned up looking at the sky. That's better. I had it on the wrong setting. I don't know how blurry that's going to be. But I had an average of 12.3%, and then the highest one we hit was 19.5, and then that 10.6, that was the last one, the last probe that I did. So I didn't count how many times I probed, but like I said, there's 3 stacks here. See, there's 138. There's about 135, so just say 270 plus another 50, I think. So there's 3. What is that? 7, 8, 9, 3, like 320 bales. I don't know. I didn't probe every bale. That would be not impossible, but that would be a big pain in the butt. But I walked all the way around, probed all of them, and yeah, that's what we ended up with. The average of 12.3, and then the highest one we got was a 19.5. So I'm good with that. First cutting in, middle of April or whatever. I'm good with that. I'm happy. So, all right. Well, I'll cut this one here. I think it's going to be